Okay, so hi. Um, I just continue to be fascinated by the college experience and what it just continues to offer each day. Um, so I'm just gonna start the video saying that. Anyways, um, I am giving myself a plan to read my communications textbook. I have like a couple chapters that I need to catch up on. And I have to write a paper in this class, and I want to make sure that just make sure that I'm up to date with these chapters, and that way I can write my paper to the best of my ability. But this video is going to be another book discussion. Actually, it's going to be like a quick one because I have a lot of things to do, a lot of things to plan and prep for, but I spent the entire day reading Normal People by Sally Rooney. This book crept into my life at a random time. It was just one of those moments where I was like, oh, now that I have the ability to read an audiobook like on Spotify, that's like the possibilities are endless, right? And I don't know what it was about Normal People that felt like it was calling to me, but actually, now that I've read the book, I know what that could have been, but yeah, so I just decided to listen to the whole thing on audiobook, and I finished it today and I want to discuss it. Okay, so I think one thing that I learned when reading this book is to always trust my gut. I don't know why that was what came across with this story, but I guess because I was sitting and reading the book via audio for literally 6 hours straight, and plenty of thoughts might have transpired, but I trusted my energy, and that's what we gotta do in this life. Yeah, and it's just interesting. I think I also learned that there is badness in a lot of people, and a lot of people can just keep kind of living their life nonetheless, and it's just well, exactly. I have a racist neighbor who says that N word a lot. Anyways, let's get back into the book talk. So, what can I say? I tried to read this book physically, and I read it for like the first 18 pages or so, and I was hit with like one of the most insane, like aggressive revelations about something or like a situation that I wasn't over. And it was exhausting to read. Like, it was making me upset and angry because I thought I had got this issue out of my system. But when I was reading this book and just the writing and just the way things were being said and just what the book, and I knew the direction that the book was probably going in and how it was taking little steps to get there, like I was just already hit with like the feelings and just the everything. So I had to put the book down. This was like last night. And then I literally like went on like a dope little music walk, dance session, strut. And then I felt like a lot better. And then I remembered that like Spotify, it's a new month, and then I started listening to it last night, and then I finished it today, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna read it in one sitting. And I'm so glad that I did. It was stressful at certain points because I was like, oh my god, am I actually allowed to like have free will like this and sit like this for this long? Like, this is allowed? But anyways, that was just like another segment I wanted to film because I am going to keep reading my textbook after this segment. I tell you, I filmed an 8-minute segment and it was so good. And now I'm gonna just hysterically cry. No, I'm not. It's not that big of a deal. But I filmed a really, really good segment about what I thought the book did to me, did to my brain. I thought that what I essentially learned from the story was that, I mean, I think all of us are learning, like, not to have control issues. Like, we can't control everything. Kind of just have to let things come. We have to just, like, it's okay to obviously control where your thoughts go and whatever, and certain things. But someone like me, I don't have the ability anymore to, like, exhaust myself unless it's for things that are important, like this video, for example. Like, this is something that I'm gonna make this video for. But I just think in general in this life, it's like, don't exhaust yourself. Don't do that. Like, I mean, unless it's something you're so passionate about that you feel like you need to exhaust yourself. Like, there's been times where I've done my writing and I've exhausted myself just to write or get in a character's headspace, and I've really, really drained and exhausted myself. Because we're all going with the flow. Like, everybody is. That's why people read books, and that's why people watch TikTok all the time. Like, everybody, humans aren't meant to be, like, fucking exhausting themselves. You know what I mean? Like, it's great if people are, but I don't know how that's fun for anyone. I don't know how anyone does that. Like, I don't know how you force yourself to do something when your energy is rejecting it so much. I think that's something that I would say. Like, don't reject your energy. Like, don't make it so that you are pushing against your energy and forcing. It's just never gonna work out the right way. And I think all of us really just want to be present and enjoy life. And I think we have our moments where we're like, okay, now we need to take a step back and whatever. But I think that Sally Rooney, there is something that this author prescribes to, and it's one specific idea I believe carries into the rest of her other works as well. And first of all, I want to talk about the fact that I want to mention the word conversion. And there's something right at the beginning of the book. It is one of the secrets in that change of mental poise, which has been fitly named conversion, that to many among us neither heaven nor earth has any revelation till some personality touches theirs with a peculiar influence, subduing them into receptiveness. So that is a quote by George Eliot, I think, from the story Daniel Deronda. And I think conversion is what I'm talking about in a lot of ways. And I think that I like receptiveness. I think that Sally Rooney, I saw another author talk about how Sally Rooney says that she prescribes to one specific idea, and that's going to just carry into her text. One kind of theme of life that is just kind of consistent. And I think that's real. It's like, I think we're always trying to change our perspectives, and then we're like, oh, now we need to work 10 times as harder because we got more motivated, and now we need to now we need to exhaust ourselves, right? But I think it's more just keeping your focus, not overthinking. And if you are overthinking, then finding your way out of that And if you feel negatively about things, and if you're letting if your emotions are affecting you a lot, dealing with your emotions, like, I think that's the real struggle of life. Healing your traumas, healing the things that are making you not happy, making you not here in the moment, right? So I think that we as humans are sometimes very dismissive of other people's advice because we get worried that like our own like outlooks will be messed up because of it and like completely changed. And that just isn't true, because I feel like at the end of the day, like, all humans prescribe to similar. I'm not saying that somebody can't change you. That's the whole point of this book, right? The whole point is that somebody could come in and change your perspective on the world and life, right? But I think we fear sometimes, or I do, me. I'm realizing I'm like projecting, but like, I'm not saying maybe other people go through this too, but sometimes I get scared to take other people's advice or listen to other people, or, because I'm nervous that my outlook on the world will be messed up, or that, but I think at the end of the day, like, we are all just trying to give each other messages. Like, we're not, and now that I'm saying that, it's like I'm taking a class on communication, and I have to say this book has such a clever writing style, because it puts you in the mental space of these characters, and it'll have one scene happen and then it'll flash back to a bunch of previous moments that kind of flow into the feeling of the certain moment now that you're reading. And it's so smooth and effortless, honestly. And sometimes, and there's no quotations around the dialogue in this book. Like, in most books, there's quotation around dialogue. But actually, I was just reading another book by Raymond Carver that is also similar to this, in that there's no quotations around the dialogue. But it's used, that gimmick, or you don't have to call it a gimmick, but that writing style is so interesting, because sometimes it seems like what the character is saying to the other character might not even be what they're saying. It might just be what they're thinking, which is so cool. Like, it's so cool. And in my early moments of reading this book, I would notice that like my brain almost felt seen. Like, it almost felt like it was like, oh yes, read that sentence, and then you kind of stop, and then you keep going, and it flows. It has a very good flow. Like, Sally Rooney is a talented writer, and yeah. So I thought I was cooking before, so I'm gonna continue cooking. So I guess the reason that I'm going on this little tangent is because I'm learning that life is very uncontrollable. Like, there's a motherfucker next door who keeps saying the fucking N-word. And he said it like 15 times tonight, and one of them was hard R, and he's obviously not black. And it's literally, it's just something I don't have patience for. And you know what, I'm gonna talk about it in this video, because it has been affecting my ability to make you this reading vlog, or this book talk, if you will. And that is just crazy because I have so many wonderful thoughts to share about this book. So why would I let someone's horrible behavior ruin that or mess with that? So I'm gonna take a sip of water. This book really reminded me of that guy in high school that used to bully me on the bus, but also probably like had a crush on me. If that romance actually played out and happened, it didn't, by the way, but I did think of that a few times when I was reading this. So let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about Miss Marianne and Connell, or Marion. I love that this is an Irish novel, and the narrator for the audiobook was excellent. Perfectly embodied these characters, and every single character like was so good at doing these different voices for these different people. And yeah, it was just fantastic. Like, rent is due for that woman who narrated the audiobook. But I'm gonna discuss who I thought that Marion was perfectly, like, I feel like Connell was the one that was like a little bit, I guess they both ended up being toxic in their own ways, but I don't know. I thought that Marion in the beginning of the story was very well rounded for what she was going through in her home life. And I think that Connell was, I'm gonna have to get into that. I was annoyed with Connell very much. It's more at the beginning I was annoyed with him. And I think it's just interesting because I get Marion had some family stuff that made her not ready for this connection, right? Or not ready for it to come in a healthy way. But see, this is where I have to, no. If you haven't read the book and you're like nervous about getting spoiled for it, you can click off, but if you don't care, then just keep listening. And yeah, and if you just want to watch the video, that's also just lovely. But Connell was like so toxic for what he did to her with the debutante thing when he didn't ask her to go to the Debs. That was so messed up, and I know we make mistakes when we're young, but he was already being so like, he was already being so secretive about her and like, and everything. And so I thought Connell was real nasty for that. Like, that made me really not like him. And I feel like as soon as he did that, like, that's inevitably gonna mess things up for years to come. Because Marion was very well-rounded in the beginning of the novel. Like, she, like, just minded her business. Like, she was just going to school and minding her business, and she had an abusive brother and family, horrible childhood trauma, and just, I thought she was so considerate of Connell and, like, his secretiveness and his nonsense. And then it just carries on, and he does some more nonsense once they're in college. And this is when she's still, like, not in the worst place. Like, she has friends, like, she's starting to have a life, a social life, more of a social life than she had in high school, or not high school, but whatever. Yes, kind of in the context of, but it takes place in Ireland, so it's kind of called different things. Yeah. So I definitely was like more of a Marianne, not to compare them. And I understand that maybe Connell, like there's some sort of like underlying thing that he wasn't ready. He didn't think she was ready or loved herself enough to be there for her. But I don't know. I find that not fair because she does love herself. Like in the beginning, she maybe, I don't know. In the beginning, she was just staying to herself a lot and just she wanted to be like, I think that in a lot of ways that her life was just very out of her control near the beginning, and that like a lot of things that happened to her really did not deserve to happen to her, and like it never came across as like, oh wow, this girl's so messed up in the head. Like, is there plenty of things that like I'm thinking that she's gonna need therapy for maybe down the line? Yes, but it was nothing that she couldn't be in this relationship with this guy. Connell was always the insecure one. Okay? And it's not to say that I didn't also maybe kind of like Connell eventually once the story wrapped up, because the book, I need to like enjoy following him. I mean, I need to if I'm gonna read, like I'm gonna have to find a way to like make these connections and sorry. Yeah. He screwed her over again in college, and then the entire rest of the book is her like all of a sudden becoming the toxic one, and like her like getting in these bad relationships where the guys treat her like shit and like blah blah blah, because Connell messed her up too. I'm sorry, like I feel like he also played a role in it a little bit too. Was he eventually the healthy love for her? Yes. And I think he always was supposed to be that, but he has his own problems as a human too. And that's why I acknowledge that. Like, don't worry, I understand. I understand that's what the book's trying to say, but like, I was still just so annoyed. I'm like, Connell, come on. He was young. He was very young when the stuff with the Debs happened. Like, that's when they were, that's when they were kids. Like, so that was a little more like, okay, you made your mistake, if you will. But then it's like the second time around, it's like, really? Like, how could you not have known to, like, and then he tells her he wants to sleep with other people? Like, what? What are you talking about? And then he goes to tell her later in the novel that he actually wanted to move in with her. I'm getting so worked up, but like, I understand that. I don't understand, to be honest. But you know what? The book needed me to understand. So I let it unfold. And